Hi, well I was going to show you, I just made a circle jig for my bandsaw. I have used one before on my router table, and so I'm kind of going the same way. I made it so that in the miter slot I can slide a piece of miter bar in and have a pin that comes up and make the turn, but I thought this would be so much faster, probably just as well, maybe not quite as accurate, but I could get so much closer with this and then maybe finish it with the router blade instead of making about the smallest you can go is 1/4 inch, and it's just a lot of abuse to go through that much wood, especially like if you're up at 1/2 inch or 3/4, and so I can do it on this first and then clean it up with my router table, or leave it as is with this, or run it on the the direct drive sander and kind of go around and so on. So I'll show you what I did. First, the table part, and this is probably way overkill, but I had some of this miter track left. It's all scrap wood in pieces. In fact, there's some blemishes here and there. But this is what it kind of looks like. This is the top. The bottom, I have a miter track, and this is that peach tree track that fits right in the miter. And I've got two screws in it to tighten it down to the track, so I don't even have to clamp it. So I take this and put it on my bandsaw table, center it to the blade, and then I can just tighten those two spots down, and no clamps in my way or anything. Now this is out far enough that even right here, if I have the pin, that is 17 inches, so that's around 34-inch circle I could make on this if I wanted to. So I'll show you how I do it. Number one, I take some Allen screws, and I have different sizes of this. See if I can get this in the right spot. And that's just like one of those little Allen screws. I take that and sharpen it, and I've got one that's a little fatter, sharpened, and a little skinnier. And I'm going to take this. Here's my miter bar, and there's already 3 holes. This is a Rockler one, I think, and it's set for that slot. And I use this on the router. And what I'm going to go ahead and do, since I'm only going to make about a 12.5-inch circle, I'll put this in and I'll run it up far enough that the piece of plywood is going to be okay. Take this miter bar, and before I do that, I've got a little stop that I made. This is, I don't know if you can see it, but it's off of I think it's a woodpecker clamp for a miter bar, but you can make just about anything. And this is going to be a stop. You can use a 0 stop from micro jig too, I think. So I'm going to slide that in, and then I'm going to put this bar in, and I'm going to put it in at about, well, let's just do like say 6 1/4. And then I'll move this stop up, and I'll explain that in a second here, what I'm doing there. 6 1/4. Tighten the stop. Now the reason I do this, and here's a board that I kind of cut, and I centered it, and just to show you what I did is I take this, get it close to the middle. Actually, I can just do it on this side. Take a dead blow to it and make sure that that's got enough of a hole to hold on. Then put this is probably the hardest part. Put this in. The reason that I have this so that it's not stationary is I can sneak up on it and say, like right now, probably 6 1/2 is in here somewhere. Well, what I can do is start here and keep a little bit of pressure towards that stop, and eventually the circle will be up against the stop and it'll come around a little bit farther, and it'll be it won't bind up or anything that way. And if you're doing 3/4 something, it can bind real easy. I think I've got a 1/2-inch blade in here right now, but if I was doing a smaller circle, I'd probably put a 3/16 blade in. Although this probably would do it, but it just depends on how small you go. So anyway, it's actually ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on and turn dust collection on, and we'll kind of see how quick this goes. And I don't know if you noticed, but, and I'll show you, where I kind of eased in on it, so there was no binding or anything, no turning of the twisting of the blade. So we'll take that part out and see how that actually worked. I think you can see that gap there. So I started here and eased it in, and when it got to there, it was on its circle, or eased it in here, and it got in its circle there and finished the circle clear over here. So that was, and of course this is only 3/8, so, but literally, I mean, if you're doing like 3/4 with that, it's almost as fast. I mean, it's no big deal as long as you got a sharp blade. And then you can clean it up if you want. That's actually pretty clean, but if you want to clean it up, you can put it on the router and get it more exact. So it might behoove you to do this, maybe a 1/16 of an inch bigger, and just take a 1/16 off or a 32nd off at the router table, and that way you got a nice clean edge, and so on. So anyway, that's I think that's about it. And I'm trying to think. I just put this tape on there last night because it gets it. Like I said, most of these circles are just close. I mean, if they're off a little bit, that's the size of the project then. So anyway, I can get it closer by making a test cut first and seeing where it is and that sort of thing. So anyway, thanks for watching.